You think you know. You think you learned something. Like when I got shot.
Know what?
All right. When I was in Las Vegas, I took peyote. Curiosity, I don't know.
You were searching for something.
Well, I saw some things. Not things per se, hallucinations, Roger Corman shit. It was kind of disappointing. There wasn't any of that.
What was there?
It's kind of hard to describe. I mean, you've done it, right? Acid, shit like that.
No.
All I can say is I saw for pretty certain that everything we see and experience, is not all there is.
What else is there?
Something else. But that's as far as I'm gonna go with it. I don't fucking know.
Alternate universes?
Are you gonna be a fucking comedian now?
I'm not.
Maybe. This is gonna sound stupid. But I saw at one point that our mothers are like bus drivers. But no, they are the bus. See, they're the vehicle that gets us here. They drop us off and go on their way. They continue on their journey. And the problem is that we keep trying to get back on the bus instead of just letting it go.
That's very insightful.
Well, Jesus, don't act so surprised. You know, you have these thoughts and you almost grab it. And then
Yo, what's going on, fam? NPC the Game live here. Coming at you live from Taiwan, District 13, the real District 13, Shaolin, and this beautiful afternoon. On January 30th, 2025, Year of the Snake. Happy New Year. Yo, good to see you, Kay. Kay and Jay, miss you guys. Glad you're here. Kay with a comment to you and Rebecca and Benjamin as well. Let it this year bring you all health, peace, joy, and happiness. Thank you, sis. Much love. Ozzy Manda, my good friend. Good to see you. Thank you. Makes me happy to see you. Everyone listening on the chat, man. Good to see y'all. Here, y'all. So today's episode is Bad Ways. What makes... Whoa, that was loud. Bad Ways. What makes someone a good person? Vernon Howard and Jupiter and Cancer. Jupiter, the planet of abundance. Cancer, the planet of nurturing and love. Right? Managing things too. Manage your emotions. Yo, so, yeah. What makes a good person? I mean, for me, it's quite easy. It's to be generous and to have a happy attitude. That's my opinion. That's the absolute? I don't know. In this on this stream it is, but we look at other people's opinions as well. So Jay's downtown on the way home from the E train. Grubhubbing it. I see. Yeah, he's amazing. Kay with her opinion about what makes a good person: authenticity, genuine kindness. I heard that. Yeah. Someone says what makes someone a good person: a mommy and a daddy. In most cases, right? But yeah. So, but some of us, I've heard when I was talking to some of my friends, the more inclined to philosophy. In a nutshell, they would probably say something like, whether you adhere to the ethics and morals of your specific culture or subculture, there's really no universal truth or ethical backdrop. And it's all based on contemporary ideals. And the concept of the good person, it varies. And really, you're only a good person if you follow the rules that dictate good personness. It's your peers who are the arbiters of those opinions, right? Resla said that earlier in his stream. He said when CJ said, "I'm a good person," Resla quite accurately said it's you don't have a say in that, really. It's other people who make their opinion about what a good person is. You know? The only thing that makes you a good person is other people thinking you're a good person. That's one way to look at it. Then there's the good person, then there's the decent person. Some would say that the really good person is also a decent person, is able to question the prevailing norms of society. Quote unquote, waking up people to the traps that they're in, so they don't fall into them. So another people would say it's compassion. All right. Morals are big into it, right? For some of us, morals and ethics. What's up, Leopard Print? I don't know if I'm a good person anymore. Well, that's not yours really to worry about. It's mine and the others to worry about if you're a good person. And I say you are not only you're a good person, you're a great person, Leopard Print. Yeah. Don't worry about that shit. You are a good person to the fullest. Yeah, I heard that. Shout out to your moms. Who's lucky she has a good person like you, just like you're lucky you have her. She's a good person probably too. You know? Why do people choose to be a good person? First of all, what's good, right? Good. I think good represents a judgment about the usefulness of something to a person. So think, like, for the example, like if a car does 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, is it therefore good in its usefulness for the purpose of its owners? All things, the way I see it, are termed good or bad based on how useful they are to a person. And in that same way, when we talk of a good person, we're talking about their usefulness to us, specifically how they relate to us and how useful they are. And if I literally say if so and so is a good person, what I'm really saying is that they possess qualities that are of use for me. And then when I say, like, for example, that person is a good person, her qualities that are useful to me is her kindness and her generosity. Right? Beautiful insight. I'm getting into with the Scorpio snake season because, like, some people might say that sounds a bit Machiavellian. But if you look at the list of qualities that people ascribe to good people, they're really all sorts of qualities that make them useful to other people. For instance, a person that lies to me constantly is of less use to me more than one who can be relied upon to tell the truth. And a person who is brave will be more likely to back me up in a fight than a coward. And a person with sound judgment will be more useful to me than a fool. And if you go down the list of common held virtues, you are really looking at a shopping list for people that will be useful to you. People you would want for a friend. People that you want to provide the same thing to them. Because what you want for your friend is what you want for yourself. You want good things. So if this is what a good person is, one who is useful to others, why should you be like this? It may be a benefit to me for others to be like this, but why should I go as far to be good and useful to other people? Well, quite simply, I think that these people will be less likely to help somebody who's in a little bit of a slump and needs help. And if you're a person that possesses no virtues to speak of, you'll be generally shunned to the people. Just as anyone will look for a baddie. When they're looking for a suitable partner, they look for virtue when they're looking for a friend, right? What's more important? And if a good friendship is one where either party would sacrifice for the other, then surely true friendship is only possible when both are good people. And the more virtuous the friends, the more good the friendship is. The better the friendship is, better to say. And obviously nobody's perfect. However, it would seem that virtue is something to cultivate if you would want to have good friends be surrounding you. And if friends are a major source of happiness in your life, then surely why wouldn't you want your happiness to advance when you improve your virtualness, or at least make an attempt to be as virtuous as possible, right? Is that what being good is to you? Are you balanced? Yeah. Respect, kindness. Yeah, absolutely. Respect, kindness is big. Do you want a mentor to teach and not to lead by a God example? Some of us need that. Yeah. Some of us need that. Let's see how do you work out to see if you are actually worthy or if you're a good person?
There is really only one question you ever need to direct at someone to work out whether or not they are a good person. And that is, with deliberate simplicity, do you think you are a good person? And to this, there is only one acceptable answer. People who are genuinely good, people who know about kindness, patience, forgiveness, compromise, apology, and gentleness, they always answer no. One cannot both be a good person and at the same time feel either blameless or pure inside. Goodness is, one might say, the unique consequence of a keen, ongoing awareness of one's capacity to be bad. That is, to be thoughtless, cruel, self-righteous, and deaf to the legitimate needs of others. Only on the basis of a perpetual, vigilant impression that one hasn't got the right to judge oneself above suspicion does one come anywhere near the ethical high standard that merits the title of good, a word one can still never use of oneself. The price of being genuinely good has to be a constant suspicion that one might be a monster, combined with a fundamental hesitation about labelling anyone else monstrous. A guilty conscience is the bedrock of virtue. Correspondingly, only properly bad people don't lie awake at night worrying about their characters. It's generally never occurred to the most difficult or dangerous people on the planet that they might be lacking. Their sickness is to locate evil always firmly outside of themselves. It's by definition invariably the others who are to blame, the others who are cruel, sinful, lacking in judgment and mistaken. And their job, properly bad people, combined with a fundamental hesitation about labelling anyone else monstrous. A guilty conscience is the bedrock of virtue. Correspondingly, only
There you go, that virtue, the bedrock, the foundation.
properly
The
bad
guilty conscience, meaning, are you worried about how you appear to people, right? I'm guilty of that. Definitely. I think even Leopard, we talk about things like this. Asking questions like, how do we come across on people? How do our actions come across to others is important to us.
people don't lie awake at night worrying about their characters. It's generally never occurred to the most difficult or dangerous people on the planet that they might be lacking. Their sickness is to
They have no introspection. Those evil people.
locate evil always firmly outside of themselves. It's by definition invariably the others who are to blame, the others who are cruel, sinful, lacking in judgment and mistaken. And their job is to take these impure people down and correct their evils in the fire of their own righteousness. It is a grim paradox that the worst deeds that humans have ever been guilty of have been carried out by people with an easy conscience, people who felt they were definitely on the side of angels, people who were entirely sure that they had justice in hand. What unites the people who report their neighbours to the secret police, the crowds who burn their victims at stakes while dancing around their agonised bodies, the government officials who set up purification camps, and the nations that wipe out their enemies with special barbarism, what unites all these is a consistent and overwhelming sense that they are doing the right thing in the eyes of God or history or truth.
Yeah, some of the worst people I've met in the last year, for example, they'll use the mantle of Christianity as a way to be a jerk to people and be an asshole and justify why people don't, or actually that's their cope, it seems like, to why people don't like them, right? And they say that they're doing this because they're doing it for the greater good. Right? Because, for God and Jesus and whatnot, for example, yet they're being an awful person. And I don't know about you, what I was taught about Jesus was not like how some of those folks act. Yeah. And if I've been like that, I'm getting better myself, man. Maybe that's why I'm able to pick it out on other people, because I don't like it in myself, and it's always easier to pick out what we don't like about ourselves in other people. It's called projection. Let's take accountability.
When trying to understand why people do evil things, never start from the position of imagining that they understood them as evil. Remember that they would have carried out their nastiness cocksure that they were paragons. An impassioned feeling of being the instrument of justice has been at the heart of humanity's most appallingly unkind moments. It is a hallmark of all the cruelest ages of history that certain groups decide that they've landed on a cause that gives them a monopoly on justice, that a particular god has given them a special mission to eradicate sin, or when their study of economics or biology have shown them one true path to an upright future, at which point there is no limit to the number of eggs that can be broken to concoct the righteous omelette. And by implication, the kindest stretches of history are those when a majority daily awake, wondering how they might go easy on others because they are so flawed in themselves, when a sense of skepticism and apology dominates every social exchange, when one is constantly charitable in word and deed from a sense of impeachability, and when people can always readily forgive because they know just how much in them needs to be forgiven.
Who Am I is a book designed to help us create a...
It sounds like you, Leopard. You're a good person, and Kay, and they're Aussie, right? Being mindful of what you're coming across to other people. I don't really trust these people that say I don't give a F about what other people think. You sound like a psychopath to me. Or what I think a psychopath is. I want to care what other people think because I want to use that as a gauge of how I can become better. Right? I just won't like prioritize it so much that I end up being a neurotic, depressive basket case because I worry too much about what other people think without putting in the work to be better. Thanks, Kay. Appreciate you. Forgiveness is big. One of the last people you can forgive is yourself, right? One of the last things you can do is forgive yourself in these days and times. Yeah.
About your father.
My father.
Yeah. How did you feel about your father? That's a good question. Well, I never met my father, but I'll tell you this. The relationship I have cultivated in my mind, in my heart, in my physical has been a one of love, because whatever my father's motivation was in having me, be it lust or to get over on somebody or to even just to procreate and spread his genes, the point of the matter is that I'm here now and I appreciate him for that. Yeah. Definitely, it's a big deal, man. Bring life into this world. I want to have a healthy relationship with all my people. And I think the clearest indicator of a healthy relationship is that you like the person you're with. For example, like your significant other. If you like that person you're with, your partner, literally it amplifies your strengths and helps you work around your weaknesses. You learn from them. Because in a healthy relationship, people are partners. And when there's a disagreement, they discuss it with the goal of understanding each other and finding a solution. They literally collaborate to overcome challenges. There's no real power struggle. But in a healthy relationship, people always are fighting to win, to figure out who is wrong. They're more like adversaries and not partners. And I see it in a healthy relationship. You can talk about stuff that bothers you without needing to be sure your feelings are justified, because you both understand that just because one of you feels bad, it doesn't mean that the other one didn't do anything wrong. So people don't immediately get defensive when their partner says they had negative feelings about something. In a healthy relationship, all parties are autonomous. All parties are adults that respect the autonomy of the other. That's love. That's a loving relationship. That's a healthy relationship. Yeah. Love, huh? Love all flaws about them. Good people, the bad, and the good, the bad, and the ugly. Compromises are needed. Yeah. Yeah, I did the opposite with Benjamin, huh? I think so. I'm glad you said that. I love it how you're playing along at home and following this narrative of NBC The Game, Gabriel Carbo, and his family. Yeah, I've tried to do the opposite of Benjamin. I'm doing the opposite. I'm loving him. I'm loving him so much that I love to stream and be with y'all that I'm probably going to cut this stream pretty short because I want to go build with them. I want to be with them and go play. And I want to go love my wife and have a great New Year's holiday. Yeah, I'm going to be there. That's the most important thing, just being there. I asked an OG online that him and his son make videos. His son's a teenager. And I asked him on his live, a big YouTuber, I said, what's the best advice to give fathers? What's the best thing a father can do for his son? And they both agreed. And the father said, is be there with them. Be there with them. Pay attention to them. You know? That's the most important thing. That's one of the most important things a father can do for their sons. When I think about it, I think about bad ways and what makes a good person. I really comes to mind this question about what makes someone's personality lovable or impressive. And I have to say, when people remember things about other people, you know those people, you know, when they remember something about that makes their personality impressive, and it makes them a great person in my mind. Just like how Kay remembered my Benjamin and always knows. She always knows about these things. She pays attention, just like I know about her lovable Jay and all of their beautiful blended family. Because you know, these people that remember things about us, they actually ask specific questions about your life, right? They truly care. Like if you're in school, they say, "How was that course going that you started the last semester?" Or I remember you telling me you're reading that book about Plato. What do you think about it? Everyone seems to instantly like them because they immediately make you feel like they care, because they probably do if they remember these things. And it's kind of tragic in a way that I know moved this stream around and all this stuff, but that there isn't more people here about such a great topic about what a good person is, right? What a good person is. In fact, I mean, you're showing me what a good person is. Just y'all being here right now. You're showing it. You're showing it to me right now. And I love it. It's great.
But this is just one thing out of 1,000. I think that now I've made great progress. I have made progress because I I don't want to be divided anymore. Now I'm going to think naturally toward this situation, this daily little event of tipping the waitress, and I will do it normally, without conflict, without an image. Not one person in a million will even want to look into this idea because their images are so intact. And if this was a group of 5,000 people, one man in that back row would get up and say a completely wrong thing, ask me a question, for example, because his image of being generous is so glued, he felt threatened by what he heard. And most of you would recognize it as a false question, a false remark. I do this every day. Now I've caught that label. I am a generous, helpful kind of person. Now I'm not suffering. I'm not in conflict from it anymore. Then 5 minutes later I find something else. An hour later, all the time I'm watching myself in operation and refusing to believe that this phony label is me, because it isn't. It's an imposition and it's my pain. One by one they drop away because I see them as false. And I am not going to live this way anymore. That's out.
I want to have you clarify. When you see this label as being false, once you see it clearly, you don't revert that again?
Yeah, when you don't want to be around false people. Once you know, you know. This is why I was talking about, I'll bring up the Jupiter in Cancer, which I have in my chart. Jupiter is where your consciousness is expanded, right? Walk with me. You don't have to believe it, but just walk with me. And then you'll know it if you have the right ears. This feeling you get, Jupiter in Cancer, like I said, Jupiter, the biggest planet in the solar system, which represents your consciousness expanding, how it expands. Mine does through Cancer, the sun sign Cancer. So what exactly is Jupiter's influence while in Cancer? Well, I have to say that it's the best way I can describe it. It's that feeling you get when you're in a place that feels truly like your home. Cancer, the home, where you feel nurtured, where you know you are surrounded by people who love you and care about you and want to succeed and be happy. Well, there's no one trying to tear you down or belittle you. There's no one trying to hurt you. You're almost like you're cocooned in a nurturing environment that encourages you to grow into the best possible version of yourself. This is how I feel in my stream right now. It's good people. I love you, Kay. Yeah, absolutely, sister. That's that, man, that cocoon-like nurturing feeling environment. It literally encourages me or anyone else in that mode to grow into the best possible version of yourself. That's the moon in Cancer's domicile. Now, imagine that feeling is expanded into the world stage, because society itself starts to take on these values and philosophies. When the Cancer goes into Jupiter, everyone's going to feel this. The world feels more supportive, and in the whole, people are a little kinder and look out for one another. Opportunities flow more easily. The world feels more emotionally inspiring and celebrates people's growth and happiness rather than their faults and failures. This is literally Jupiter in Cancer, right? Let's celebrate each other's growth and happiness rather than just browbeat their failures and what they're doing wrong. Of course, we're going to be realistic and in a graceful, loving way, and sometimes with discipline, even harsh truth, show them how to get better. But let's celebrate the growth and happiness of their evolution of consciousness. Kay says higher consciousness, bringing your mind to a higher dimension, perhaps aligning with the world. Yes, the world, man. You get your view of the world from your mother, your first teacher, who shows you how to be comfortable with the world, you learn through her is your relationship with your world. Like Tony Soprano said, the mother is the bus. This is why we all try to keep going back into it. We came from a higher dimension into this lower dimension in some sense through our mother as the vehicle. This is why a lot of us, especially men, want to go back in there, crawl back in there. This is why we put so much stress maybe on some of our partners, our girlfriends, long-term girlfriends and wives, and sisters even. We want all women to treat us like our mothers, when in fact only your mother can treat you like your mother. Nobody else can do that. Family does matter. Only she can do that for you. Yeah. I really think that Jupiter, this Jupiter in Cancer that I have, this placement makes me and others with it care more, and also have a sense of protectiveness over others in this placement. I definitely push to find communities that have like-minded people where I can protect and love. You know, it's something that it's important to me. I gotta feel cozy and comfortable in order to thrive. Bad ways don't no longer serve me, because family matters. You are my family here on YouTube. I have my family, my blood family for sure, but this is a close second, you know? And some of you already know so much about him, you might as well be my family. K and J, you know? Leopard. Yeah. Shadow. Ozzy. Yeah. This is real life, man. I'm so happy to be able to share these thoughts with you, right? It gives me power and vitality and makes me fill up with love, expanding my consciousness so I can help other people through service. It's the only game in town. Make you a good person? Does that make you a good person when you're trying to help people and you hurt other people and trying to protect them? I don't know. It's all like what we said earlier about how, what's up, Lindsay? How's it going? Good to see you. It's all about how, not all about, it keeps coming back to how people see you. Does that make you a good person? I say yes. That's a big thing, because you can think you're the greatest person and your shit don't stink, but I mean, what does it matter what you think? Yeah. Mm. What is, like we said, what is goodness? Is goodness just means how useful you are to someone, or is it being kind and being having a happy attitude towards life? There's so much stuff to think about, but I remember when it was Plato who said, "What is?" I'm paraphrasing. What is good is what is beautiful. Is being consistent being a good person? Because literally, we were made the way we are by being consistent and practicing the same behaviors over and over again. I think being good is not necessarily an adjective, but it's more of a verb. Like, just like people are probably more like, the more I see it, more like verbs than actual nouns. Being good, I think, is a activity, a thing that we do. And so it needs to be practiced, right? It needs to become a habit. Because you make what is good, and then others can define you as good. Yeah, that's true. Others will call you more or less good or bad based on how you affect them and what changes you cause in them. Maybe we're overthinking it too much. Being honorable, intelligent, kind, loyal, compassionate, motivated, strong, brave, confident, principled, funny, full of life, being fair, being honest, being happy, being responsible, being wise, and getting excited too. Is that it? Right? Sometimes these words get twisted because if, for example, if someone is too compassionate, it can be a bad thing. However, in my opinion, this is more so because it's implied that from their compassion, a negative property emerges, like being a pushover or what have you. And the statement is more like an attack on that negative property rather than the person's compassion. And I feel like all those properties I just mentioned above are inherently positive things. However, under certain contexts, it can be used with negative connotations. So, chat, help me out. How does this list of adjectives I just gave off help us find out what a good person is, right? Should we start and see if these adjectives are enough to capture all good people? Because it's really possible a person has all the above properties, however, they still not be a good person. I almost feel pretty hard pressed to come up with a scenario where they're not. I ask you this question: is it possible a person has none of the above properties? However, they're still a good person? Can you help me come up with a scenario where that would be play out? Because it seems the best you can be without having any of those properties is being a neutral, boring person. Yeah. I just want to be happy. You like that one? Yeah. That's a good person, right? I remember that one. Good. That was episode 1 of Test Stream. Practice. We're talking about practice. You remember that? Reacting. Yeah. See, I'm saying that is a good person to me when they can remember important things that you've shared with them. Yeah. Yeah, criminals. Many are good. Yes, that is true. They're just put in bad situations. They put themselves there. You can't really ever know. Or maybe you can. It's just that you can't ever really speak on it, express it. We can only do what we're doing now, point to it. Yeah. Probably what I did with listing all those adjectives is it's like casting a net that includes all good people. However, it also includes some people who are not so good. Like, like we said, criminals or whatnot. Well, this is fucking like a zen. I feel like the more I go on, the more zen things are. You can go either way. Back to being neutral, right? And boring. If you're intelligent, but boring, lazy liar, I think some people may not consider you to be a good person. However, having negative properties doesn't disqualify you. A kind, motivated person who is boring could still be a good person. And personally, I think the exact boundaries that separates the good from the not good, like I shared earlier, could be culturally specific. Right? That might even be fundamental. Or it could be embedded and independent of culture, because a person without any of those qualities won't be considered good, and a person with all of them will be considered good as well. So, with all this said, all these properties, I think they're valuable, right? It's a good start, right? Logic Sparks, good to see you. What's... What makes a good person, chat? Are you a good person? Let's say, well, I was speaking on this guy earlier. Let's see what you think before we pimp out of here. What JP has to say about it. I haven't seen his stuff in a minute. Are you a good person? Are you a good person?
This idea that people's shadows reach all the way down to hell, which is actually a very frightening concept. And what he meant by that is that if you take a look at the impulses that drive you that are actually malevolent, if you can admit to such impulses, that if you basically follow those all the way down to their origin, you find some very nasty things. And what you find down there basically is what allies you with people who've done terrible things. And that's not a very pleasant experience, I would say. Although one thing that's worth thinking about is that it is something that can protect you against being very, very badly hurt. Because one of the things that characterizes people who develop post-traumatic stress disorder is that they're often naive, and then they encounter something that's really not within their framework of thinking, and it's usually something bad. And because there isn't anything in their philosophy, their way of looking at the world that has prepared them for that, they end up fragmented and devastated. And so it's actually protective to you if you can figure out what your full range of capabilities is, because that can help you understand other people a lot better and to be wiser and more careful in your actions. It's also useful, I think, if you want to convince yourself to act properly, because if you regard yourself as harmless, which is a big mistake, then nothing you can do is really that bad, right? Because you're harmless after all. But if you understand that you're seriously not harmless, then that can make you a lot more careful with yourself. And I would say that
kind of reminds me of someone who's trained in martial arts, for example, or knows combat and knows how to kill with guns, for example, right? With weapons. When you know these things a lot, hopefully, but I think this happens more than not, you're probably less likely to act crazy and try to start trouble and try to look for trouble, because you know you're lethal, right? But if you're like this Mr. Nice Guy, Miss Nice Girl, and you think that you can never do any harm to anyone, for example, if you're a woman, for example, you could be breaking hearts, right? Or if you think even the Mr. Nice Guy, I've been there, like I used to consider myself a nice guy, and there was a lot of girls that, you know, that loved me and whatnot, and I thought that when I was, you know, was done in the sense of being with them, that me just leaving and not really being empathetic to them as a human, that I thought I was harmless, you know, when in fact I could have hurt a lot of women's feelings and whatnot. I don't know, people say like nowadays feelings are not important, but they are sometimes. A lot of times, yeah. But when you think you're harmless, you have the capacity to do great harm on other people, right?
That's especially true maybe when you have kids and you start dealing with your kids. If you know that what you're capable of because you're human.
Bad boy player, maybe for a short time, right? It got to be, it's too much, man. Dealing with one woman, it can be complex and intense enough, let alone like 2, 3, 4 at a time, you know? Yeah. Hey, but we tried though at one point. We definitely tried. I'm sure you break a lot of hearts too, or have too, Lindsay.
Then that can motivate you to be much more careful with what you say and do. And I don't mean cautious. I don't mean timid. I don't mean any of that. I just mean that
we're learning,
you want to
right?
keep things pristine between you and your children, let's say, because that way they're on your good side. And you want them on your good side, because children who get on their parents' bad side suffer very badly for it.
Remember that getting numbers? That was the big thing before the cell phones. How many numbers you can get? You tell your girl you're going to call her, you don't call her back. Oh, that could ruin her whole week. Right? And definitely a lot of women have done that to men too. Right? What he said here was interesting about children. You don't want to feel remorse against your children. You don't want to dislike your children, right? It doesn't mean you're not going to be annoyed by them, but you don't want to dislike them.
Your good side. And you want them on your good side, because children who get on their parents' bad side suffer very badly for it. And sometimes it's because they're literally abused. But more often it's because they get abused, let's say, or neglected in much more subtle ways. And you're definitely capable of that. I mean, all you have to do is think about the way that you've interacted with someone that you've decided to not like, or maybe someone you genuinely don't like, you know. And that can range from just not paying any attention to them, especially if they're doing something good, to really pursuing them and making their life miserable. And you can certainly do that with your family members, and you can do that with...
You can certainly do that as a troll stalker, like some of these people we know. Even Lindsay and I encountered them on the panel yesterday at OTW. Shout out to OTW. That, yeah, you don't, these people go around and like trying to make people's lives miserable when in fact, most likely they hate themselves, and literally their body is showing them that and attacking their own body. It's wild. I mean, the instant karma is just cause and effect, and we're seeing it happen faster and faster in this quickening of 2025.
Your intimate partners, and you can do that with your friends, and you can do it with yourself, and so it's really worth knowing that. So,
what's up, Chopping Jeff? You're right.
The Fox thinks he's a
stalkers
royal rule breaker, but he's really just a two-bit thug, and this is where he learns that. So, sorry, I have a new phone, and I'm kind of stupid with it still. So,
Jordan Peterson, boomer back in the day. He cleaned up nice though.
Well, hypothetically that'll work, but it probably won't. Anyways, the coachman's got these guys in his grasp now, regardless, and partly because they're already down this road and they can't back off, and partly because he also offers them more money than they've seen before. And so, as bad as they are, they're going to get worse. Many of you, I presume, have seen Breaking Bad.
Pinocchio.
And that's a really good example of the incorporation, at least in part, or maybe the possession by the shadow from the Jungian perspective, right? Because you have this ordinary high school teacher who really thinks that he's an axe, and his family as well. You know, like your typical persona, roughly speaking. He's just a normal guy. But part of the reason that he's a normal guy is because he actually hasn't been put in abnormal circumstances, and then all of a sudden he is. And he has a genuine moral conundrum, right? He's going to die of lung cancer, and he has a son who's got a lot of health problems, and he's terrified that he's going to leave his wife and his child behind with nothing. And then, of course, has the story. And so he decides to do something that temporarily that he regards as what they would normally regard as reprehensible. And of course, he just gets tangled up in that. But then as the story unfolds, you see that it's more complicated, because It's not that he was just innocent good guy and he decided to turn bad. He's also very resentful and angry. And it's partly because he's a bit of a pushover at the beginning, or maybe more than a bit of a pushover. And also that he didn't really fulfill his own potential, and that, you know, he had friends who walked down the entrepreneurial path, and maybe they weren't quite fair to him, but whatever. He ends up not very successful as a high school teacher, and so he's really angry about that. And so there's more motivation for him opening up the door to the terrible elements of his personality than just the fact that he's got good motivations to do so, and that unfolds, you know. And so you see the warps and twists in his resentful character increasingly manifest themselves as he walks down this road to really total brutality. And it's quite good. There's a book called Ordinary Men that's a lot like that. I don't think I've mentioned that to you before, but Ordinary Men is a book about, it's the best book of its type. Maybe it's the only book of its type. It's possible, but it's plotted much like Breaking Bad in some sense. It's a story about these German policemen in the early stages of World War II. And they were guys who were old enough to be raised in Germany really before the Hitlerian propaganda came out in full force. You know, if you were a teenager, say in the 1930s, you were going to be pulled right into the propaganda machine, and maybe you were part of the Hitler Youth, and like you were raised in that, you know. But if you were older, then you were raised before that, and you're not as amenable to propaganda once you're older than about, well, I would say about 22 or something like that. It's pretty young, actually. If you're going to make a soldier, you have to get a soldier young, because once people are in their early 20s, say, they already have their personality developed. Anyways, these policemen were sent into Poland after the Germans marched through, and you know, it was wartime, and there was this hypothesis in Germany that the Jews in particular were operating as a fifth column and undermining the German war effort, because of course the Germans blamed the Jews and a variety of other people for actually setting up the conditions that made the war necessary. And so when the police were sent into Poland, they were also required to make peace, roughly speaking. And so they started out by rounding up all the Jewish men between 18 and 65 and gathering them in stadiums and then shipping them off on the trains. But that isn't where they ended. They ended in a very, very dark place. I mean, these guys were going out in the field with naked pregnant women and shooting them in the back of the head by the end of their training. And what's really interesting about that is that their commander told them that they could go home at any time. So this is not one of those examples of people following orders. And the reason they didn't, roughly speaking, there's many reasons, but one of the reasons they didn't is because they didn't think it was comradely, so to speak, to leave the guys they were working with to do all the dirty work and run off. You know, and that's really an interesting fact, you know, because in different circumstances, you wouldn't think about that as reprehensible, right? You'd think, well, that's part of teamwork and under rough circumstances, and that's at least in part how they viewed it. And they were also made physically ill multiple times, physically and psychologically ill by the things that they had to do, but they kept doing them anyways. So it's one step at a time, and that's the thing, is that you end up in very bad places one step at a time, so you got to watch those steps.
Yeah, you got to be conscious, be aware. Easier said than done. Slowing down. These last week and a half of sabbatical I've had from teaching has really got me a chance to think. Because at the end of the day, being a good person isn't about perfection. It's about presence. It's about showing up like you all did. I really appreciate it. It's about choosing kindness and realizing that every moment is an opportunity to grow. The more we open our hearts, the more our consciousness expands. Jupiter and Cancer, right? Consciousness expansion with love. And when we lift others up, we lift ourselves up. So all I ask is be present, be love, and keep expanding. The world needs more of it. And it starts with you. And if I can help you out with that by reminding you. I'm happy to do so because I'm going to be here. I'm going to see you next time, right? And stay aware. Stay kind and keep evolving, okay? This is NPC The Game Live. And I hope, the message from Kay, I hope you're out. Hope you're not upset with me about not being here. No, absolutely not, Kay. Absolutely not. And you sent me a message. I see you. You're here now. That's all that matters. Even if I didn't see you, sometimes like if we don't see our good friends, our loved ones, our beloveds, it can make us feel a little sad because we miss them. However, we know deep down that when we do see them, it's like we never even left, right? It's all good. Please stay positive, Lindsay. No, I like Lindsay with the positive things. With the positive. Absolutely. Case, I had to step back. I feel bad that shit went down. I don't know the entire thing, but, I'm here for it. Yeah, it's all good. People get angry. They say things, but it's only temporary. It's all good. Yeah. This is a marathon, like Marathon Kev says, right? It's a marathon. Yeah. Yeah, give me a call. I'm always available. Hit us up in the Discord. Let me get the link. I'm really happy I got to meet Lindsay, a panel versus legend, and we had a really good build on, like I said, OTW, who's I've been building with OTW the last couple months. He comes over here a lot, which we're blessed. Yeah, I love y'all. I mean it too. So hit up the Discord if you want to, as we say, try out, but whatever. I think you're good people. Lindsay would be honored if you do Discord. We come in there, we have good chats. We have it's all about this Discord hyperspace, as we call it, is for, self-development, right? And trying to get better and better in various ways. And we also like to laugh as well. We're not trying to use the Discord as has been used in the past as a breeding ground for just talking shit and whatnot. Don't get me wrong, gossiping is fun. And that happens sometimes, but hopefully if you gossip, if one gossips, it's more in a high tier, higher consciousness tabloid form, but we don't even have to go there. All I'm saying is y'all are more than welcome to come by. More than welcome. Yeah. 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 It's be a very open-minded question and everything. Yeah, she does, huh? Shout out to Lindsay. Shout out to Leopard Print. I love you too, Leopard Print. And thank you for being you. And yeah, man, if you rewatch this from the beginning, you'll see and that like how to test if you're a good person. You have all those things. I have those things I've seen in myself too about really having a guilty conscience sometimes about if we're doing good, if we've done good by people, which 9 times out of 10 we have. It's just we wanted to make sure because we wanted to be the best at doing it. Right? It says that we don't need to beat ourselves up about it so much. Well, that's what we're here for, to help each other calibrate what's really going on. Yeah. So like I said, until next time, stay aware, stay kind, and keep evolving, okay? We got this. And enjoy this little picture of me when I was as old as Benjamin. About the same age, about 5 or 6, in my badass ways. But I mean good. I love y'all.
It's going down like this, motherfucker.
Bye.